Hi everybody, how sweet it is. Welcome to the garage, Tuesday morning posting. And of course we have one on Thursday and the live show on Friday. The law of unintended consequences. I really like that saying. I also like the road to hell is paved with good intentions, because they're both extremely true and very important. Everything today is so interrelated, interdependent. What's occurring in the Middle East is ricocheting around the stock markets of the world. $100 billion written off the value of shares here in Australia. Trump has always had an eye on the stock market. I wonder why he didn't realize that his adventures in Iran would be felt in pockets and purses all over the world. And if he didn't know, I'm surprised that he didn't have somebody, advisors or somebody, who could perhaps have at least warned him of the potential for an economic meltdown. It doesn't take much to frighten the horses. Ayatollah Khomeini, his son, has been chosen as the next supreme leader of Iran. Now, President Trump is miffed because they didn't ask him about it. But strangely, they have a fair bit in common. The new Ayatollah and President Trump, they both like expensive real estate, private aeroplanes and the good life. The new Ayatollah owns a £50 million luxury apartment in London. One small problem with that piece of property is that it overlooks the Israeli embassy. Experts have warned of a potential serious security breach there. Now, I wonder if it was an accident that he bought it. No, I won't go there. He's got several other expensive properties in Kensington and West London, with a further estimated value of more than £100 million. One apartment, which comes with servants' quarters on the ground floor, is a stone's throw from Kensington Palace, the official residence of the Prince and Princess of Wales. Now, these guys from Iran are not clerics. They are royalty. I just keep wondering where the money came from to do all of this stuff. And it's interesting that he lives in luxury in London and not in Tehran. The South Australian state election is looming. Aston Hearn, the young Liberal leader, is, I think, hopelessly inexperienced. She could virtually promise anything, knowing that there is little possibility that she would have to deliver. Ambulance ramping is a hot button, hot topic in this state. It is worse now under Labor than it was when it cost the Liberals office at the last election. All this would-be Premier has to do is say, elect me and I'll fix the problem in 1 year, or I will resign. That's a kind of a unique, very uncommon political money-back guarantee. Don't hear politicians say that kind of thing all that often. Well, she would win with that, unless, of course, she is no better than Labor and can't fix the problem. Come on, show us what you're made of. I think the Libs are a bunch of half-hearted amateurs up against the well-oiled Labor machine. Maybe a slip of the tongue, but the Liberal leader said, we will lift the payroll tax, which in itself doesn't sound very good. What she meant, I think, is we will lift the threshold. But I don't think she understands, and therefore didn't come out right. Can't say it. We will reduce this stupid tax on employment, is what she should have said. If they were smart, they would remove it altogether. Could there be a more stupid tax in the world? The more people you employ, the more tax you pay? Absolutely nuts. How do we replace the revenue? I can hear them saying it now. How do we make up the shortfall? Well, you could save a fortune by reducing the bloated public sector for a start. They're all going to vote Labour anyway. That's why there are so many of them. The Liberals then on Sunday announced that if you're making $250,000 a year or less, your IVF, in vitro fertilisation cycles or whatever they are, will be subsidised by the taxpayer. Rubbish! Listen, if you're making $250,000 a year, I think you can solve your own fertility problems. What's it got to do with the taxpayer? The Greens are beating their chests over the 3 Australian sailors being on board the American Virginia-class attack submarine that sank the Iranian frigate. Now, as Dr. John Bruni explained on the Friday show around the dining room table, we have had personnel embedded with American submariners for quite a while. They're preparing themselves for the future when Australia will take possession of these atomic submarines. It's out there somewhere in the never never. It doesn't matter if they were there or not. There's nothing to get excited about. It's perfectly reasonable. The Greens are wrong for not standing by our serving soldiers and sailors. I don't know if you've been to Corn. Pete's here, Gary's here.
Corn. Lovely place. Yeah.
It's a little quaint town in South Australia, not far from Adelaide, in the cemetery. Somebody's gone around and taken all the plaques from the gravestones. Brass is very valuable. But what a terrible thing for somebody to do. How do people find particular graves now? Could you imagine anyone being so crass and nasty? Taking copper and brass from everywhere they can find it. And we know that here because the plaque that was on the top of the 5DN time capsule, the 5DN time capsule on Green Hill Road, which marked the original home of the Humes, the birthplace of broadcasting, well, commercial broadcasting in Australia, someone stole the plaque. With that gone, the time capsule was vulnerable because nobody even knew it was there. And of course water got into it, so I went down there and I took it, brought it back here to the garage. It's back at the site. It's back, this time with an aluminium plaque, thanks to Tony Bell and his Historical Radio Society. See, they won't steal that. They won't steal that, hopefully. Cory Bernardi is being hounded by the media because some years ago he likened same-sex marriage to bestiality. Now, I don't know why he chose those words, but they were his words, and he's standing by them. He's a one-nation candidate for the upper house. I reckon he's a shoo-in. I like Cory Bernardi, and I like the One Nation Party, I really do. Go and have a look at their website, look at their policies, see what you think. They're not afraid to say what they believe. We need conviction politicians, people who believe in things and are prepared to do things. We can look at them, we can listen to them, we can vote for them if we like. That's democracy. But for people, including the media, to howl down someone who has the temerity to actually say what he believes and stands up to be counted is crazy. The fact that he does not believe in same-sex marriage is absolutely fine. There are a lot of people who don't believe in same-sex marriage. Perfectly reasonable. This is something I've been meaning to bring up here in the garage in the court of public opinion for a while. It's an interesting area where South Australia leads. The transplant register in Australia is not really something we can be proud of. We can here. The people of South Australia are most generous when it comes to organ donation. The reason is simple, because when you go and get your driver's license or get it renewed, you've got a simple question to answer. Are you an organ donor? And most everybody says yes. Tick the box. We simply have the best system, with more than 70% of the population saying, yes, I'm an organ donor. I remember when I first came to Adelaide in '76, it's 50 years ago. Golly, it's 50 years ago. Anyway, I heard the expression, the establishment, for the first time, really. The feeling was that while we had democracy, in fact, we here in South Australia, we were the first state being free settled to enjoy many things. We established a lower house and an upper house and, of course, various municipal councils. But then there was this thing called the establishment. Now, I think it was and is a myth. Not everybody thinks that, though. Unlike the Labor Party, who did have and was run by 12 faceless men who weren't elected but had great power. But if there was anything you could call the establishment in South Australia, it would have to be St. Peter's College. It was the establishment that produced the establishment, if you like. Its list of old scholars reads like an international who's who, a remarkable history. But this is amazing. Maybe I'm just getting old. Maybe times are changing. Honoured guests, honoured guest speakers at this venerable St. Peter's College coming up will be Grace Tame, Stan Grant, and the former Prime Minister of New Zealand, Jacinda Ardern. What an interesting left-wing trio. I cannot imagine what these guest speakers would think of, let alone talk about, at this venue, St. Peter's College. I don't know. I don't know how that happened. I'm pretty sure that it will raise a few eyebrows along the way. But that's all right. Even our eyebrows need exercising. Happy birthday if you're having a birthday. It's March 10. Oh, said he, putting on his reading glasses. Thank God I don't need them for anything else, because I lose them all the time. Dog spectacles. Dog spectacles were patented in England on this day in 1975. Why?
So they can see where they're going.
How would you know? I suppose if a dog was bumping into the furniture or something? Yeah, maybe. Dog spectacles. I have never seen a dog wearing spectacles.
No, sunglasses, yes.
Sunglasses?
Oh, they're always on.
Okay, sunglasses. First telephone call. Now that would be something, wouldn't it? It's like the first man on the moon. You know, you'd really want to have something prepared, wouldn't you, to mark that moment in history. A small step for man and a giant leap for mankind. I mean, it would have to be something meaty, something meaningful, memorable. First telephone call, Alexander Graham Bell says, "Mr. Watson, come here, I want to see you." To his assistant, Thomas Watson. The year, by the way, was 1876. You would have thought he would have prepared something pithy.
Wrong number.
No, there was only one phone. Only one phone. The first civilian to exceed the speed of sound is Herb H. Hoover at Edwards Air Force Base in California on this day in 1948. The speed of sound. Although there were many Spitfire pilots who, in the Second World War, in a steep dive, and the plane would buffet like that as it approached the speed of sound, but couldn't, well, the shape of the plane would never get them through the sound barrier. Made a movie about that, the sound barrier. 1956, Peter Twiss sets a new world air speed record of 1,132 miles per hour, which is 1,823 kilometres per hour. That was in 56. Not much time between 48, the first civilian to exceed the speed of sound. That was 48 to 56 when they were ripping it up. An avalanche at a Swiss ski resort, Closters, nearly kills Prince Charles. Now King Charles, I don't remember that. 1988 was the year, this was the day. Benny Goodman unofficially crowned the King of Swing at New York City's Paramount Theatre as his band plays before an exuberant sellout crowd filled with teenagers. Unable to attend nightclub performances, the kids dance in the aisles. 1937. I'll be doing that at the Princeton Club.
Indeed you will be.
Yeah. Andy Gibb, British-Australian singer, songwriter, performer, teen idol, Bee Gees, I Want to Be Your Everything. He dies of myocarditis. Golly, I had that. Myocarditis, it's inflammation of the muscle of the heart. It's a virus. But it can kill you. It can kill you. That was 1988. 2025, NASA is the first US federal agency to begin firing career employees under President Trump's downsizing directives. 2025. We need some downsizing in this country. Anyway, I think I shall leave it there, and I look forward to our posting on Thursday morning at 9 o'clock and our live show on Friday. Thank you very much for being with us here in the garage and viewing the Court of Public Opinion.